Hi, Lindy here, and thank you for joining my channel. If you're new to watching my videos, welcome. Today we're going to crochet Sunburst granny squares. I'm going to show you how I made these Sunburst granny squares, and then I'm going to, in another video, show you how I put it together to make a fun beach bag, ready for summer. These are the cotton yarns with which I will be crocheting, and the white yarn will be used to edge the squares and sew the beach bag together. So here I have 9 of them, which I am stretching. I use these 4 yarns and I do a variation on them. So each yarn I'll have in the center for the actual center of the Sunburst granny square, and then we'll go out into the total of 4 rounds. So let's begin. And we're going to start with the magic circle, as you know, in the palm, twice round the finger, pull to the front of the tip, and then just pull it over until we have our magic circle that we can pull up and down. And that's where we're going to start our 16 double crochets for the center. We need to do 16 double crochets. So begin by making 2 chain stitches, 1, 2, and now we're going to make 15 double crochets. And what I tend to do is I hold the circle in my finger, but this depends on how you crochet. So we've done our 16 double crochets. Let's extend this to make it a little larger. And now we're going to tighten up the magic circle by just pulling that one in. So the last thing we need to do in this round for the center is to just go into the first stitch and we do a slip stitch. And now we're going to just trim a very small piece of yarn, because if you'll remember how I work it back, I'm going to show you now, so that we don't have too many yarns to sew back. So there we have our center. So we've tightened this magic circle, and what I'm going to do, just so that there are not so many threads around, I'm actually going to weave the center piece back. And then weave it in the opposite direction. And this is the wrong side of the granny square. We've got this loose thread which we're going to weave in with the next row. Now we're going to take the next color, which is the blue, and here you can see the next round is the puff stitch. We're going to do 16 puff stitches, which is the same number as the 16 double crochets, and we can start anywhere. I like to start a little bit before the actual ended off yarn so that I can weave it back nicely. So you go into wherever you wish, keep just a short thread, we go round, and we're going to tighten it in there like that, and then we're going to keep that thread on the side here so we can weave it in. So the puff stitch, we start with 2 chain stitches. Now we're going to start the puff stitch, so we're going to go round into the hole and pull up the stitches in line with the 2 chain stitches. Again round and into the hole. We're going to do this 3 times for each puff stitch, but because we already have a chain stitch, the first one we're only going to do twice. Then we go round, pull it through, all the stitches and 1 chain stitch to finish. I'm keeping this here to sew it back in. If you find that is too complicated, then don't do that and just later work that stitch back. Round into this stitch, round, pull through in line with the other puff stitches, round. This is the second one, and then we have the third one. So we have 3 times we've gone into the hole, and now we're going to go around, pull out all the stitches and 1 chain stitch. So let's do the next one. Yarn over into that stitch there, which is the next one. We pull it through, yarn over into the hole, yarn over, back into the same hole. That's 3, and then pull it all through to the last one, and then do a chain stitch. Next puff stitch, yarn over into the next stitch, pull it up into the next stitch. That's 2, 3, and pull them off and finish it off. We now can cut this thread off. Now, because we don't have an extra chain stitch between these, we could do that. It would just make the whole granny square a little larger. But because we don't have that, it is going to curl a little bit. But by the time you get to the 3rd and the 4th round, it will flatten out. So next puff stitch, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, round, into the next one, and that's 2, 3, yarn over, pull it all through, and finish it off with a chain stitch. And I'll meet you at the end to show you how we join the last puff stitch to the first puff stitch. We're going to now do the last puff stitch, which is the 16th puff stitch. So we do exactly as we did before. In 1, 2, 3, slip them all off, close it with a chain stitch, and then we're going to go into the top of the puff stitch, which is at the top here, and we're going to do a slip stitch. Cut it off, weave it back, and we've now completed our second row. So we're now ready to start on the 3rd round, which is in this lovely lime green. And this stitch is called the cluster stitch, which is the same as I did in my daisy squares on the blanket. We're going to start the new color yarn, as we always do, by going anywhere into our circle, round, and then we're going to just loop it through, tighten it, and put it to the back out of the way. So let's begin the first cluster stitch. The first one is always slightly different because we need 2 chain stitches to start the cluster stitch. And then what we do is we go yarn over, we go into that space, and we do actually what is called a half double crochet. So you slip off the 2, you go round again back into the space and slip off 2. Now we're always going to finish the cluster stitch with 4 stitches, so we're going to go back in and slip off 2, And there we have our 4 cluster stitches, which we just slip all of them off and then secure it with a chain stitch. The next stitch, yarn over into that space and then slip off 2, yarn over, back into the space, slip off 2. We've got 3 stitches, so we need a 4th stitch for the cluster stitch, and there we have our 4 stitches. Slip all 4 of them off and then do a chain stitch to close them, and you can see it has a little tapering here. So the next space we're going to go into is that one. So yarn over into the space, pull it up, slip off 2, yarn over into the space, slip off 2, yarn over into the space, pull it up, slip off 2. Let's do another one. Yarn over into this space here, and now we're going to slip all 4 off and secure it with the chain stitch. So we're now going to complete another 12, so we have 16 cluster stitches, and I'm going to go in the circle every now and then. You can check in on me, and we're going to eventually get to the very end. I'm going to show you how I end off the last and the first cluster stitch. So we're now at the stage where I've woven back this blue thread, which means I can actually trim it off. And you can see how this is sort of pulling a little bit. It's not very flat, but don't worry about it. We're going to eventually, on the next round, we're going to make it into a square, which will pull it straight. So here we are, ready to complete the last cluster stitch. And then you go to the first stitch of the first cluster stitch, and you go in, and there we go. You can see it's rolling in or out depending. We're just going to trim that off, and we're going to pull this through. And now we're going to do the final row, which is the square. So we're going to turn the circle into a square in this lovely pink. And as you can see with the square, we have 2 sets of 3 triple crochets in each corner, and between them we have 2 chain stitches. So it's 3 triple crochets, 2 chain stitches and 3 triple crochets. On each side we have 3 double crochets. So we begin like we always do, anywhere on the circle, and we just tie that off, tuck it at the back, and we're going to start with our side of 3 double crochets. So we do 2 chain stitches and then 2 double crochets. Now if you want to, we can sew this back. Now to get from the 3 double crochets to the corner, I like to do 1 chain stitch, which just loosens the corner a little bit. And now we can start our corner 2 sets of 3 triple crochets. So we do into that space, and after the 3 triple crochets we're going to do 2 chain stitches and the next 3 triple crochets. And to get to the 3 double crochets, 1 chain stitch, 3 double crochets, and so we're going to continue. You can see there's a little bit of a step down here, but that will all be sorted once we stitch them together. So we're going to continue with 3 sets of double crochets, the corner, and I'll meet you back here when we're going to do the final corner. We're at the end of the final round and we just need to complete the last corner. So the way we're going to do that is as we did with the other corners. We're going to, from these 3 double crochets, we're going to do 1 chain stitch, and then we're going to do 2 around into this hole here, a triple crochet, second one, and a third one, and before we do the next 3 triple crochets we do 2 chain stitches. pull, crochet, we now need a chain stitch to get us to this beginning and a slip stitch. Trim this off, pull it through, and I will sew it back just now, but for the moment I'm just going to put it to stretch a little bit. As we've said before, handmade items are all different sizes, not perfect, and that's what makes them so beautiful. And in my next video, I'm going to make them up into a beach bag ready for summer. My name is Lindy, and thank you for watching my channel. If you enjoyed watching how I crocheted these Sunburst granny squares, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified when my video is available, ready for summer.